Hello! Welcome back to Diced Coffee. So, fresh out of my Dragon's Grave campaign, I wanted to jump right back into this game, Coteries of New York, for a Let's Play. This is the second episode of this Let's Play series. If you want to see the first one, well, the video's in my channel. So, for those of you who are unaware, and because I didn't do a very good job of introducing the game the first time, Vampire the Masquerade is generally a tabletop RPG that centers around the stories and themes of personal horror and dealing with the beast inside. A man versus self story. Coteries of New York has been reported to do a very, very good job of portraying that struggle between man and beast. And I have been very excited to play this game. I have just recently purchased it, and I hope you enjoy my playthrough here. For those who didn't catch the first episode, I am playing a fledgling Ventru, who are the leadership types, the bourgeois, the aristocrats of the vampire world. So it should be interesting. Get right into it. Apparently we're already on night 3 of my little adventure as a fledgling. Oof. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here. The blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh, right. The light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows come into view. You emerge from your bedroom, fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie's waiting for you. Comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand, The Melancholy of Resistance. The title's sure on brand. Good evening, Liliana. Good evening, Sophie. I hope you rested well. The night will be quite eventful, I think. Come on, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium could be called again tonight, on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. He keeps talking as you walk downstairs in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there, at least those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities you'd do well to at least learn about. You never told me if there's any savoir-vivre kind of rules that I should respect when talking to other vampires. Side note, forgive me for my French, because I can't read French to save my life. Knowing that you're among your superiors is probably the most important. In our society, status comes with age. Pardon my sincerity, but you are insignificant. Not even associating with me can make the fact that you've been kindred for barely a few nights forgotten. So you know your place. Stay out of your superior's business and show the utmost respect. Thanking the prince for sparing you, and maybe having a friendly chat with Kadir publicly might show your gratefulness for being a part of the Camarilla now. I would suggest you make it sincere. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron? I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you. She might be protecting and teaching you. But it's clear what she's really concerned about. Her own interests. You step into the art hole with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down, and your existence nearly ended. But tonight there is very little hostility. Yes, Kadir gives you a look that's definitely intended to remind you of your place. But the prince, also in attendance, seems pleased to see you. Welcome, Sophie, Liliana. Did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there is somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight? Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently. This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. Ooh, harsh. The prince gives Kadir a cold glance. Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He's in a particularly foul mood tonight. There's something to do with Liliana's begetter eluding his grasp, I believe. Ouch. That must have hurt his ego, even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you grit your teeth in anger. Asshole. Settling you with a curse then to cut you off for your career. Cheated you out of your ambitions, offering little in return so far. You remind yourself that defeatism will get you nowhere. Mindfulness, the here and now. This is an opportunity. You will make the most of it, if only to spite everyone who doubts your true worth. The flaring up of whispers in the gallery hall breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad, inert vampire still staked on his shoulder. The show's about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectfully to Kadir. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life, and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he backs out on all fours, keeps going in circles until he realizes he's trapped. Kadir steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Why, who do we have here? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. No, come on, don't! Silence. The sheriff takes an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature that's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you can swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a fetal position and start crying. No! Please! Don't hurt me, man! Don't! You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs at the prince's discretion. Please, go ahead, my sheriff. You heard the prince. Get up. Let's go. He doesn't wait for a confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, chickens screaming out of the room. Conversations start all around you. Some whispered, some quite overt. Sophie looks somewhat bored of the whole affair, her eyes wandering from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing to her particular liking. So, what happens now? It'll be at least some minutes before Kadir gets the information he seeks out of his thug. Why not mingle while we wait for him to break? Excuse me. Sophie leaves your side and goes to a corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned, gathered. A concierge offers you a drink. Still warm. Smells nice. Just a sip to start you off. A splash over your palate, coating your tongue and the insides of your cheek. Nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you recall seeing here a few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. Conversation seems to be casual. A loud, shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man who you saw with Sophie the other night of your judgment. He's making rounds, chatting up different patrons. You feel somebody else's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column watching over you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly when he realizes you've noticed. Here's a question of who should I be talking to, if anyone. Definitely not the prince, right? Definitely not the prince. The man notices your attention, but it takes a few minutes before he pauses his mingling for long enough to actually approach him. He looks at you, quizzically. Bomus Arturo. Pardon? It's my name. I assume you'd like to know. I know you. By name only, of course. Liliana. Embraced just a few nights ago. Huh. Well, well, well. How's Undeath treating you? It's taking some getting used to, for sure. For sure it does. Sure it does. Good thing we have an eternity to make the best of it, right? He takes a moment to clean his glasses, completely ignoring you until he's done, and puts them back on. I'm sorry, I got a bit distracted. You know, most of us don't need to wear these, right? I can see just fine without them. But it's a statement. The damn things keep catching specks of dust and other assorted shit, though. Never stay clean for long. Sometimes I think they're more trouble than they're worth, wouldn't you say? I say if it's a pain to wear them, and you don't need them, why do it? Like I said, it's a statement. Inconvenience is no excuse to stop pursuing perfection. What else is there, really? Alright, that was a nice chap. We'll have to catch up with a few other fellows tonight. Talk to you later. Genie! Hey! Genie! He doesn't even give you a chance to say goodbye. He's already off, grabbing 2 glasses off the concierge's tray and handing one to a mustachioed man nearby. You notice Sophie mingling with other kindred, clearly in her element and not to be disturbed. Kadir hasn't come back yet. You can probably find time for at least one more conversation. To be perfectly honest, I kinda want to talk to the prince. Probably gonna regret this decision, but hey. You approach the prince, trying to stay as respectful of her private conversation as possible. He glances at you as you step forward, her scrutinizing gaze mimicked by her companion. He addresses the dark-skinned woman before turning to you. Excuse me for just a moment, Samira. Yes, Liliana, what is it? I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realize it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I want to express my sincere appreciation. How thoughtful of you. She takes a long look at you before she continues. I didn't do it from the kindness of my unbeating heart. You are an asset to Miss Langley, to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of this city that it was so. There might be more to your future nights than just survival and servitude. The dark-skinned woman looks impatiently at you and catches the prince's attention. Oh, forgive me, but it is all the time I can spare now. We have some things to discuss with Samira still. I enjoy your night, Liliana. And same to you, Prince Bernard. The prince nods and turns back to the other woman to continue their conversation. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everyone's attention. Kadir is back, and the hoodlum is with him. The sheriff pushes the other vampire inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. That stupid hat is inexplicably on his head, covering some of his ruined face in welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His shin is broken, you think. Something protruding there, making the pant leg bulge. One arm seems twisted at a strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, with clearly a whole lot of hurt. Well, Kadir, did our guest cooperate? Tell the prince your name. It's Howard. And who do you unleave, Howard? The Midnighters. And our Coterie, my prince. Active for some time now. Though from what this one has told me, the name is about the only legacy the group has kept over the years. You see? Hey, Prince. I didn't mean it. I didn't know. I didn't. A loud crack makes some of the guests audibly gasp as Kadir slaps, dislocates the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla, claiming domain without the prince's approval. That alone would be enough to pass swift judgment, but he is also Anarch scum, my prince. There can be only one verdict, the final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan like our dear Miss Langley a few nights ago. The look the prince serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her arm under yours in a strange public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes a run for the window. The moment you catch Howard's eye, ordering him comes to you almost instinctively. Stop! He stops and looks at you with one eye, the other swollen and closed by Kadir's interrogation. A swift slash separates his head from his shoulders. The body slumps to the ground and starts decomposing in front of your eyes. The sheriff, sword in hand, gives you a nasty smile from behind where Howard used to stand. Well, Liliana, your eagerness is laudable, if unnecessary. That Howard fellow couldn't have hoped to escape his fate, not facing Kadir's expertise. However, I have made note of the show of loyalty on both your and your patron's accounts. I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this anarch fag to my and Kadir's attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory? A rhetorical question, and everybody here knows it. Then I consider tonight's meetings to be concluded. Good night to all of you. Steps out of the room, and you see many of the guests move to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what's transpired. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation of your own or two. Kadir al-Asmai is still here, for one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Arturo is still here, chatting with the remaining attendants. For a moment, you think the man who was looking at you earlier left, but he's still here, keeping to himself in a secluded corner. The plain-looking guy from before is uncomfortable and is ready to leave. You approach him as he's making his way to the stairs. Good evening, mister? Larson. You can call me Robert Larson. Either's fine. Why are you standing around by yourself like this? I'm not hugely liked around these parts. I'm sure you want to talk to me. I'm surprised you want to talk to me. Then again, you're new. You probably don't know. I'm one of Prince Panar's Primogen. I'm usually here to advise the prince, but clearly that wasn't necessary. So I guess I'm not entirely sure why I came tonight. What about you, though? How's it feel to have had a hand in the same kind of business that could have ended your final death? No, wait. That's unfair. I forget how new you are to all of this. Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on whether you should be executed or not, that was me. I was the diverging opinion. Not that I'm ungrateful, but out of curiosity, what was your reasoning? My reasoning? Just common sense. That you shouldn't be blamed for being assaulted and essentially murdered to boot. But, as Kadir loves to say, the traditions are clear. Listen, I don't want to be rude, and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice? Stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as primogen to be some kind of joke, you know? You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you. You have a quick look behind you, and see that a few of the kindred keep shooting curious glances. One woman in particular, a redhead, boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you, disapprovingly. Some of them already do, I imagine. Listen, I need to go. Enjoy your night and all that. With a single look from the rest of the thinning crowd, he leaves the gallery. Right about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you. Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come, Gregory's waiting downstairs. She seems preoccupied with something, and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. This time you arrive at the building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. It brings you upstairs through a very nice lobby in a luxurious-looking hall into her domain. Please, have a seat. I shall be right with you. You take to your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery of an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once, and a nouveau riche's living room, meticulously combined together. Apologies. Old habits die hard. Clearly some stick with you even after your death. She drags on her cigarette and breathes out. Breathes? How is she doing that? Can you do that? Oh, yes. You might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. The door in the back, the bedroom. Similar to yours, of course. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I need your best behavior to uphold my good standing with the court, I meant it. But that's not the whole story. I have your interest in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven. Why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me, or else this won't work. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something, when you're in trouble too. So I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I have something to discuss with you. Okay. I'll come over first thing tomorrow night. I appreciate that. That silence again. There's definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet. I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me. We'll give you a lift. A quick trip. A promise that you'll show up tomorrow, and some polite goodbyes later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into the secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcome change. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake up, same as you have the past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door, you look out the window to see, invariably, a sky bereft of sunlight. And it hits you. The hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night when it's not fair. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have as much chance of kickstarting your heart with jumper cables. You lock the apartment behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her. Might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Get in touch with your boss? He's probably looking for you. If only to scold you for the unattended files piling up on your desk. But what is he gonna do? Call the cops? Not worth the hassle. You're almost hoping a few co-workers would seem to give a shit about you or faking it. It would make things easier. A fresh start, from the ground up, just like old times. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have many times before. But feeling so disconnected. All these people, you're not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire. Kindred. And you need to carve your own path in this strange new existence. One way or another, appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building, just as thought crossed your mind. A quick word with a security guard, and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley's expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait patiently as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's moonlight glow. She stares out motionless, like a marble statue. Is everything alright? He doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Yes, it is. Kind of you to ask. Tell me, when you look out this city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. The lights and rain, the relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as ambient piece. Other than that, though, it's business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smells, you know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed somehow, but she covers it up with a courteous smile. Well, not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning in even the mundane. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of Clan Toreador. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred, though that number has been contested in the past. In these nights, it seems that nothing is certain anymore. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times, the original Inquisition, if you can believe. They used to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it, inescapable, originating from the ancient progenitor, carried from sire to child. For Toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either what most cannot. A blessing on most nights. Occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see him in such... Poor Kadir. It breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still... There's a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might to act playful, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, was quick to regain her composure. Then there are the Ventru, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the blue bloods think themselves rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion, while being slaves to their own temper. We don't discuss the rabble much anymore. Not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think, they were philosophers once, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. Say I meet a vampire for the first time. How can I tell what clan there is? What their clan is? Usually you cannot, with a few exceptions. Perhaps for some clans, the uniqueness I mentioned bleeds into their appearance or disposition, but even that can be misleading. Outside of a very few specific cases, knowing one's clan is less important than understanding who they are personally, what drives them, their wants, needs, and weaknesses too. Speaking of which, we come to the reason I wanted to speak to you tonight. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes these are called by the prince themselves, or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about the society, but also because it's useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless. So, tell me, are you part of a coterie? Any close allies? I do have those that I trust enough to work with, yes. Not a coterie exactly, though I have joined several of those over the years. Not in over a century, though. You, however, you would do well to meet some of the city's younger kindred and see if you can find a connection. It's an essential experience for one so young. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide. Lenses through which to view our kind. They're all members of the Camarilla, of course. More or less. Alright then, let's hear it. Who's on the list? Eager to learn about them, I see. Good, I'm glad. So let's start with the Tremere. They're a powerful clan disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. Blood sorcerers? You flash back to one of those nights when your ex would stay up playing video games. Not a pleasant connotation. Sophie snickers. Oh child, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using vitae, their own as well as others, to unique and potent effects. They're quite rigid in their hierarchy. Maybe the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. From what I hear, he's quite a scholar, very ambitious. The child of a noted premier here in New York, Ashling Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Agathon and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. And also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Now, this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there's one clan whose members wear their curse on the sleeve, the Nosferatu. The way she said it, you're pretty sure it should mean something to you, other than sounding foreign. Doesn't ring any bells. No wonder they make their havens in the sewers, abandoned buildings and such. Their appearance is hideous, and obviously unnatural. Had we walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would learn of our experience long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on a even more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he's no Adonis either. Still, he has useful talents and connections that you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The one with the awful furniture. I knew it. I knew she was talking about IKEA. I mean, what other store could she possibly be talking about but IKEA? Swedish furniture store? You mean IKEA? Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadir, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work Nosferatu are best at. He's on the case right now, something to do with kind murders, I think. After your initial brush with death, with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might just be the thing. Takes a brief pause to look out the window again. Now, come. The two more exotic proposals. Exotic? As if the blood mage and the vampire detective were business as usual. You may have heard of the Gangrel before. They're a wild clan, in touch with their beasts, in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of the big cities, but there are exceptions. Nominally, they haven't been a part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familial ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Her sire, Jezebel, was an instrument during the Battle of New York back in 1999. The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being unappreciated. Siblings? Actual biological brothers and sisters? No, not in the mortal sense. The gangrel sometimes use the word brood to indicate childer, begat by the same sire. As you can probably tell, they do take the whole animal motif quite far. I'm not sure how many of them there are, but they are rumored to be a tight-knit group. The gangrel often act on instinct, so when you meet Tamika, or her siblings, be careful not to slight them. They're easily provoked, and can hold a grudge for a long time. I speak for experience. So, you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But, speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you. Though, it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She's a Malkavian. They're a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to be us as unstable. And that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves and a true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled amongst kindred. As for Hope specifically, she's said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe, I believe it's called, in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. An internet cafe? Really? How quaint. I really wouldn't know. But since you brought it up, be aware the Camarilla is highly critical of using internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure that exercise caution when at her haven. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave it to you. Use tonight and tomorrow to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I'll send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, and that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? He smiles on you once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous, compact car, a decent looking, if not luxurious ride. Stay safe, Liliana. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had the past few nights. A blessing? Or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in hand, you consider your next move. Okay, so I've got a choice to make. This is probably I can't actually see the names. Ah. So, we can look for the Malkavian. We can look for the sorcerer. This guy would be the Nosferatu. And this is the Gangrel. I am oddly interested in having a Malkavian. But I do need to get on the good side of the sheriff. I think I'm gonna go to Malkavian first. Sounds interesting. It's a quiet, moody internet cafe. Half of its spaces serves as a comfy coffee bar these days, but behind a glass wall it still has a space. Dedicated rows of PCs. From the street, you can notice tired adults in casual clothes, typing away absent-mindedly, and some bored kids wasting the late evening hours in colorful video games, online games. If Sophie's intel is to be believed, this is where Hope has set up her haven. One of the waiters is standing outside the building, gazing at the sky with a smartphone in one hand and a vape pen in the other. You approach the man and tell him, "If I told you I was supposed to meet Hope here, what would you say to me?" I'd probably tell you I'm surprised. People are usually more discreet about seeing her. The man slowly takes a drag from his e-cig, sizing you up and down in silence. After a long awkward moment, he raises his voice again. "Come, right this way." He heads back into the cafe and you follow his lead. When you make your way through the space with computers, no one averts their gaze from their spreadsheets, emails, Facebook profiles, or games of Fortnite. It's a common sight, one you wouldn't have paid much attention to a few weeks ago, but now it seems so unnervingly quaint. Would they still be spending their time like this if they were mortal? The waiter unlocks an unassuming door at the end of the room and lets you inside. You two swiftly make your way through a labyrinth of sterile grey corridors, taking confusing twists and turns. Feels like you've been traveling to a different world, crossing one invisible portal after another. Eventually you reach your destination. Your guide motions you to enter a dark room with a lone source of pale light, a computer screen, in the distance, beckoning you to come closer. As you do, you hear the door shutting behind you, your back, and a short chuckle echoing behind it. Is this the place? Nothing else to do but sit on a chair in front of the computer. The monitor displays a modern chat application. A cursor is blinking in the username nickname entry field in the middle of the screen, obviously expecting you to input your handle. After brief consideration, you type in I want to put in a random string of characters, but it seems more in character to use my name. Liliana. Better play it straight. Prove you have nothing to hide. As a gesture of goodwill. After a few seconds, the chat window opens and messages start appearing on the screen in quick succession. Hostage execution. Whoa, this got grim. Okay, there's an entire chat room here. Identify yourself within 2 minutes or get banned. The chat goes silent. Everyone seemingly waiting for you to say something before proceeding. This must be a close-knit group. Better say something before they kick you out. I'm looking for Hope. Is she here? Who the fuck are you? This was meant to be safe channel. Investigating went wrong. Huh? Christ. Okay. You've had enough of these trash-talking randoms. Time to teach them some respect. Your blood fires up. Ancient power starts coursing through your veins, fingers tapping the keyboard buttons on their own. People better stay quiet if you know what's good for you. You have no idea who you're messing with. You will obey me. The chat goes silent once again, And then it explodes. Okay, so obviously my kindred has yet to learn that the presence ability doesn't necessarily translate through chat. Guess your powers don't work online. Go figure. You know your cheeks would turn blood red right now if they still could. Oh wow, someone's already changed their nickname. Jesus. Names himself Jesse Hooker. That's a shitty name. Their mom gave him tough shit. Wow, this chat got violent. Split second after you read the message, you feel someone's arms tightening around your neck. The violent return to reality catches you off guard. A jolt of panic through your brain paralyzing you momentarily. You've come to the wrong chat room, motherfucker. A ridiculous whisper rings out next to your ear, and the grip under your head gets even tighter. You start struggling, but even with your newfound supernatural strength, you're having trouble breaking out of it. This isn't a normal human you're dealing with. Last words? Let's get sassy. Good luck. I can't die. Just because you're kindred, I got bad news for you. And holding your chin shifts its position slightly. Don't struggle. I'll break that your windpipe. Or my phone. Which would end even worse for you. Out of the camera shutter, light flashing. Did they just take some selfies with you? Alright, that's enough fun. I'm letting you go. We can have a talk. Don't do anything stupid, Miss Intruder. Pretty please. The mysterious assailant loosens their grip on you and gently pushes you away. You quickly turn to take a good look at him. Let me just finish this. Pale blonde woman in her 20s, giving you slightly judgmental looks while rapidly tapping away at her phone screen. First you'd notice her outrageous outfit, seemingly thrown together from some thrift store finds. Then, you take note of her tattoos. Sprawling tapestry of odd patterns and designs covering every visible part of her body. First glance, it all seems aimless, but has a consistent sense of style upon their inspection. Her eyes focus on you for a second. Gave you a scare, huh? Sorry, that's what you get for entering a lady's haven without permission. And she's back to her phone. With her relatively small build, it's hard to believe that you had trouble overpowering her physically. But then again, nothing is what it seems when it comes to the undead. And even compared to the vampires you've met so far, she comes off as eccentric, curious presence. She shoots you another glance, noticing you're still cautious of her. Calm yourself, girl. I won't pull anything like this anymore. It was just a feel stupid saying it out loud. Vibe check. What? Yeah, I got a glimpse of your vibe on the internet and in a dangerous situation. I'd say I got a pretty good idea about who you really are. I'm Hope, by the way. If you're here, you've probably heard of me. I went ahead and skipped the pleasantries. But come to think of it, I might have skipped too many of those. He definitely fits the description you were given by Sophie. Still can't believe you got so mad online. You actually tried to use your powers on people talking trash about you from who knows where. Jesus. But you know, I kinda respect that dedication. It's amusing. Anyway, don't have to worry about the chat. It was all a game to us. No hard feelings, okay? I'll introduce you properly later. On the monitor, chatter continues normally. Your visit is like yesterday's news, no longer relevant to anything. But, look, if we're gonna talk about you, you should have something to say too. What you doing here? About time, she asked. Note to self, she really loves the sound of her own voice. I'm looking for people to join my coterie. Admittedly, that's a very weird thing to say to a Malkavian you just met, but she doesn't know any better, right? Coterie? Been there, done that. Not interested. Unless... Takes a closer look at you. Her eyes go wide. Wait. Shit! Are you the new Langley plaything? Word seems to be getting around fast. Of course you are. It's obvious the second Langley got a hands on the new servant. It's not building a new network. Your missions tell me it could really come in handy when the Langley... That's a risky game. That kind of ambition attracts too much attention. Piss off. Then again, look at Kara. Seems to be having a spirited argument with herself. Only parts of it audible. Is it just you? Or do her facial expressions and body language change a bit between one sentence and the other? Before you make certain, it's not just your eyes playing tricks on you. She focuses half of her attention back on you. The other half, of course, is still obsessed with her smartphone. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not interested in a cooperation. Before I make a decision, I need to make sure you're the sort who understands me. And that's... I thought I understand you. And since I was planning to put on a show before you came, I proposed a little game. Hope absentmindedly spins her phone in her hand, considering how to put her thoughts into words. Then she approaches with a switch on the wall and flicks it. Neon lights flare up, illuminating the room. You take a look around. The room is certainly unique. It looks like a butcher's room, repurposed to be a living space. The modern computer in front of you starkly contrasts the ominous industrial walls. At the back, there's an overwrought bed covered in velvet with meat hooks hanging above. On top of the bed sheets, you notice what seems to be pieces of elaborate S&M equipment. And the camera. Wait a minute. You want my help? Moderate my cam show. Cam show? Your eyebrows twitch involuntarily. This is definitely not the kind of request you expected to hear tonight. She notices your confusion. Take it or leave it, buddy. You just became a kindred. But you want to become my partner in crime? Show me you can handle yourself while watching my back in every environment. You serious? Show starts in 10 minutes. If you think better than this, you better walk out the door right now. I won't hold a grudge. I got better things to do. As if to prove it, she looks at something displayed on her own phone and cracks a brief grin and reply typed down with absurd speed. Tap tap, tap tap tap. 9 minutes. Now or never, show moderator. Risk of violating the Masquerade? Hi. Continent warnings? Oh yes. Oh, you take the job? Why the hell not? Hope brightens up and her smile looks surprisingly sincere. Excellent. I promise you might find this interesting in more ways than one. Alright, give me a second. She spends a minute setting up the computer you used before, then urges you to sit down. The explanation of the moderator's functionalities is simple. It boils down to ignoring anyone who doesn't disrupt the chat, banning anyone who does, and kicking anyone causing minor trouble. 5 minutes later, she's already online, sitting in her bed in a provocative pose. It's a sex show, isn't it? Her voice, previously hushed, rings with full force. How you doing now, hopefuls? You peek at the chat. You're tempted to try out the kick and ban prompts as soon as possible, but obviously, you won't punish someone for a little dirty talk. Thank you! Today's show is quite special. Please welcome a new moderator, Liliana. Sorry for sentencing you to death earlier. Jesus Christ. At least the community here seems to be a bit more welcoming this time. Looks like this place has an established hazing ritual. Or maybe Vay and Hope came up with one specifically for you. Who knows? You decide to stay silent. Eventually, people stop riffing on you and focus entirely on the star of the show. Alright, let's start this one with a bang, shall we? So, this is where the strip show starts. You raise your head, curious about what kind of performance she's going for. First, she opens her mouth, reveals her retractable fangs in front of the camera. Right off the bat, the online audience is treated to a sight of her wholly human set of teeth, turning into a monster's maw. The image is both revolting and fascinating. She raises her left wrist for everyone to see, and then bites. The fangs immediately turn her arm into a horrifying, gory mess. It's unclear if she used them to slash or bite, but one thing is for sure. No ordinary human could cause such damage. If an ordinary human suffered such a wound, you'd expect a geyser of blood to appear. But it doesn't. Hope's technically a corpse, so it's impossible. She flashes a monstrous smile and starts smearing vitae all over her hand to maximize the impact of the violent image. Then she starts drinking it up. She makes it a point to make the sight as gruesome as possible, looking like a hyena feasting on a corpse. The contrast of her behavior with her look of an Instagram model is stunning. Once she's done, she reveals her wrist to the camera for the last time. She starts making theatrical gestures with her right hand as the wound begins to mend. Shortly after, the wound is gone. It's like a magician's trick. Her left hand looks like nothing bad ever happened to it. Here's an appetizer. First blood to kick off the show. While you're wondering what the hell is going on, Hope catches a glimpse of your bewildered face and turns into your direction. How's that for an opening? Sex? What? Were you counting on me to get naked in front of you, son? Oh, honey, we just met each other. If you expected a strip show, yeah, sorry to disappoint. This is more like a live stream digital art. The erotic subtext is there, of course. You peek at the chat. They're going wild. I'm sorry, but just read this last chat. Nothing is more arousing than a beautiful woman teetering on the edge of oblivion, a rose petal dancing in the eye of a violent hurricane. Jesus Christ, who wrote this shit? Eroticism ain't the key here. It's vampirism. It's a new frontier, a living art installation. In the early 90s, the Japanese artists kept producing these videotapes with beautiful women committing gory harakiri. Those are an inspiration. Bears of fangs again in a devious grin. I have no interest in auto-destruction or turning myself into a victim. It's a celebration of a body I love, not self-inflicted punishment. The audience came here to marvel at the beautiful vampire and her awe-inspiring powers. Mending wounds is just one of these powers. The people watch can pay to see more. Oh, don't worry. The only things the audience can see and hear are the things I allow them to. We can talk freely. Just remember to moderate the chat, will you? High risk of violating the Masquerade. What a joke. She's blatantly breaching in front of anonymous viewers. Still speechless, you turn your attention to the screen. Okay, no one worth banning. You let the guy vent his excitement. Seems harmless. Special message appears in the chat log claiming somebody has successfully sponsored the first goal of the show. Hope smiles and picks up a bag of blood from underneath the bed. Must have been retrieved from an old blood bank. He showcases the label to the camera for everyone to see. Hope pours all the contents of the bag into her throat. You have no doubt. It's real blood. But wonder why the viewers would be so satisfied with something that's so easy to fake. Don't worry, it pays well enough. Don't even bother to tell her this is not what you're thinking about. Safe to assume she knows. So, what do you know about the kindred thing in the internet? Have they told you anything? Well, she's waiting for someone to sponsor her next vampiric feat. He decides to start a conversation. Is this the right time? Is it not? Well, I think you need to utilize every moment to the fullest if you don't want to feel as dead as you are. I'm busy waiting, so might as well teach you about the world you're about to enter. See, some of us used to experiment with our own secure networks. We try to build our own information hubs, social networks, everything. Still working the phone in one hand while looking for something under the bed with the other. On how many things can she concentrate at one time exactly? Then one day the NSA got in. Turns out, elders never really got a hang of proper security practices. Or the sigils they use to smear on their screens didn't exactly work as advertised. And of course, all the other three-letter intelligence agencies of the world got intel, and a lot of them decided bloodsuckers were the perfect new enemies for post-9/11 times. Second Inquisition came into being. Ever heard of it? A lot of our kind just died because they were too present online. Right now, the remains of our old networks serve as government honeypots, keeping alive to attract fledglings and hunt them down. You post a certain keyword on Twitter or Facebook, you get tagged for investigation. You fit certain patterns, you get tagged for investigation. But there's a certain thrill in becoming an online presence, without attracting attention from the authorities. He stretches on the bed. I hope you're still monitoring the chat. Of course, you're not as good as dividing attention as she is. You correct your mistake and check the recent messages. I hope I made the right choice there. Good job. Anyway, yeah. When Nosferatu admitted the Camarilla the network got compromised, we all just went batshit insane. Internet communications became strictly forbidden. There were executions. A lot of people used social media to secretly contact their mortal families, and lovers got off. That goes without saying. If you weren't careful, even the most innocent web usage could result in being punished with a final death. Thanks to user Dicksteel Subtle, the new goal has just gotten funded. You can still see her on the bed, but the live feed indicates there's nobody there. When you deeply focus on the digital image, you swear you can make out some unusual glitching where her silhouette should be, but could very well be just placebo. You ready for this? 1, 3, 2, 1. Flash of the camera. The instant she reappears on the screen, she takes a selfie, sticking her tongue out in a provocative manner. The chat room explodes in cheers again. She is their vampire queen. I briefly wonder about being glued on the screen about her being glued to the screen. Is this fantasy everyone is here for? A girl showing off cheap magic tricks while lazily browsing her social media? You realize you are way out of your depth here. Meanwhile, Hope decides to continue her lecture. Those were some wild times, especially in New York. But most of them have no clue as to our real nature. A lot of clandestine organizations have classified us as national threats. And since this is where the towers fell, the agencies are very much present around here, looking for easy PR victories. The last SI raid was here just a few years ago. It was a big one. Stirred up a hornet's nest, something fierce. But although it's 2019, NYC is ruled by someone who got embraced before World War II. And the cam as a whole got really spooked and swore off the internet. Of course, they're not dumb. They understand that you can't really coexist with modern kind without internet. It's a grey zone right now. Like piracy. Technically frowned upon. But let the one who without sin cast the first stone. Yes, I is a real threat, no joke. But in many senses, the darkest place is under the candle. Take another look at the screen. Is he hitting his keyboard with his head or something? Alright, be gone. Oh, that was overzealous. Please don't terrorize my viewers, will you? That wasn't the best choice. Let's hope you can bounce back from that. Oh yeah, fun fact about being a vampire. We can sweat and pee if we just exert ourselves really hard. Some of us can even orgasm. We can even cry, but only tears of blood. It's something I always dreamed of doing when I was 14. It's so romantic, and drives them crazy. Proof of her words, a scarlet tear starts running down her face. The chat goes wild. This seems to be exactly the kind of thing they've been waiting for. Can you imagine USA assembling blood-sucking squad that would just cruise by the border and suck blood out of any legal they found? The thought gives me the biggest boner. I think that deserves to be kicked. Just to be clear, You realize what we're doing here is a blatant breach of the Masquerade, right? I always expect you to leave or inform somebody by now. But you haven't, have you? You try to focus on the chat. In any case, last goal has been funded. Time for the grand finale. This is what you've all been waiting for, right? Her voice has changed. She gets closer to the camera, letting her face fill the frame of the live feed. Her mesmerizing eyes are focused purely on the viewers. You want blood? Come out in the streets, claw out your neighbor's throat, slash their veins and drink up. Hope's presence becomes absolutely horrifying. It influences the chat in some incomprehensible way. Everyone starts typing like they're possessed. Liberate yourselves from the shackles of ordinary mortality. Make them scream, feel the warmth of their entrails. What the hell is she doing to those people? What have you gotten yourself into? Transcend your bodies, release the message of hope into the world. Lurks violently for a second, and then falls into bed like a marionette that had just had its strings severed. She exhales loudly a few times and laughs. When she does, the room goes dark again. Alright, that's enough. Instead of continuing, she does something with her phone. The stream ends, and the chat instantly becomes dead quiet. Let me take over. The atmosphere in the room is completely changed. She's already put herself together and stood up. Now she's walking towards you. Wow, these people. After every line she delivers, she changes her voice, the way she puts her lips together, and even the way she moves. You caught glimpses of her acting this way, but only now have you started to figure it out. Wait a minute. Does that mean... Funny thing, I actually don't know what it is yet. I'm immortal, I'm bored, I'm separated from most vampires in the city by a generational chasm, and I'm so goddamn lonely. The internet used to be my only friend. Years ago, I started researching tulpas, collective unconsciousness, all the mumbo jumbo at the intersection of psychology and spirituality, and I decided to experiment. The show was a fake. A few years later, I was an Instagram fashionista, successful erotic model, and a vital part of pop culture commentariat. A viral shit poster, a cryptocurrency expert. All my internet selves started signal boosting each other, paving the way for new ones. I became a one-woman empire, surrounded by legions of psychophans. The chat was fake. Some may think it's a dissociative identity disorder. That's bullshit. Everyone has online alter egos they buried. I just resurrected them, gave birth to new ones, and let them crossbreed. The constant tapping on the phone, even during the show. Somehow she's capable of impersonating an entire chat room. I don't even have a self that could dissociate or be mentally ill. I'm a host. A living database. I live because I find it fun to be an honest information conduit, process trends, and support the ones I deem worthy. There was no Masquerade violation. She was showing off her skills all along. She put you into a world of pure fiction, the same way she was testing you back when she attacked you from the back. Damn, she's good at this. Of course, you can't just ignore what I'm saying and decide I'm just another deranged Malkavian. But hey, annihilation of the self is the only way to survive the 21st century. there was ever an era that demanded images of beautiful people transcending beyond humanity and inspiring others to do the same, it's this one. Although, for now, because of Masquerade, my audience is quite limited. Speaking of, you want to be the star of my next movie? Need some time to mull it over? Sure. No, sorry to disappoint. But yeah, your test is over. And the question is, do I want to work with you? Puts away her phone for the first time since you've met her, and gives you a good hard look. Guess I can give it a shot, yeah. You're not that dumb. You're not that boring. And you're kind of cute. Don't worry, no more modeling jobs. Mods get attached. Oh, and that's always bad news. Grabs your arm and starts leading you out of her room. I put you through enough of this shit. Next time, I'll let you in on a job I'm doing. We'll hit the streets, and you'll see why Sophie told you to contact me. She leads you through a labyrinth of grey corridors, a different route than the one you made your way through. This city is so much more than what its elites consider real. Stick with me, and I'll guide you to places the Camarilla elders can't reach in 100 years. She leads you out the building, into the back alleys. Even if someone else rules the streets, we will rule the information highways. This is the power of hope. She lets out a theatrical laugh and disappears. You don't even notice when she leaves you alone, but you assume everything went well as it could. A new ally. The power of hope. As you walk off into the night, everything around you feels like a little less intangible than it did a few hours ago. Oof. I just need a second to change my headphones because it's killing my ears. Alright. Am I supposed to rest? I'm not entirely sure if I'm supposed to rest at the moment. I kinda wanna help the Nosferatu. You know, get a coterie of strange people. Ah, there it is. You need to rest. You notice something strange. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter's been slipped under the door in cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. The note is short and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There's no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. I got an invite, but I still need to talk to someone. An invitation, premiere, I'm gonna go to Nosferatu. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame, once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant, laid out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-linked fences. By the time you reach the entrance of the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy in the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you feel yourself in a largely empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked with the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine, most likely an office space. And then you see it, a faint light coming from the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb up the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly, it hits you. The nagging feeling is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of the gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear.
Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo.
You decide to play along, raising your arms. Slowly you weigh your next words carefully. Pretty sure a bullet to the back wouldn't kill you, but it doesn't sound too pleasant either. How about you lower the gun so we can talk like civilized kindred?
Oh, I'm plenty civilized, see?
You can feel the barrel digging deeper into your back.
Double action, carbine, steel framed. The finest handgun hard-earned money can buy. Doesn't get much more civilized than that.
If you're gonna shoot me, you might as well give me the courtesy of looking me in the eye. For a few tense seconds, the room goes quiet. So quiet, in fact, you could swear you can actually hear the smoke swirling in the air. Finally, the stranger speaks again.
You know what? Fair enough.
In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better word, glory, can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu. The way Sophie described him, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity. But this guy? The clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine. It all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. I swear, the comments in this game are top-notch. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing at his gun at you.
So, what brings you to my humble office?
You're the one they call D'Angelo.
That's my name, kid. Don't wear it out. My friends call me Jin, so you best stick to D'Angelo, for the time being. Now I suggest you tell me what this is about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office.
Charming. I can see why Kadir keeps you around. His expression sours.
Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered here off the street. Let's get right down to the nitty-gritty. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however.
The Red Hook murders. I know. I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile.
Do you now?
D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless, with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced a lot in front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue.
Sure, they seem to care. What was the endgame? What was their angle? Everyone's got one. Even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What now? Maybe this town finally got to me.
He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar in between his crooked teeth.
Maybe a good leap of faith was just what the doctor ordered.
As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a little lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing the cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips.
I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I could use an assistant. Someone to take notes, make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows, if you're any good, I might consider this a long-term arrangement.
Sounds good.
Sure it does, kid. I'm the one who said it. Just one more thing. You still got me at disadvantage here. Seems like you done some digging on me. But with you, I've barely scratched the surface. Catch my drift. So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for?
Selphie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adapts a genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile.
You're the one, huh? Fledgling the Toreador dame spared. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing a name around. Thanks for being up front, kid.
One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving.
Alright, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking.
With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There's definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off of Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place.
Well, Here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him. Drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body. So I don't know if there were any bite marks. So, what can you tell me?
You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera, and you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall that reads, "The Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo the Nosferatu. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. You point the spray-painted sign. That looks like a clue.
Sure, kid. Might as well start with the elephant in the room. What do you think it means?
You give the sign a good hard look. No Rembrandt. The writing is jagged, clearly done in a hurry. I mean, it does kind of look like it was done in a hurry. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, I didn't realize my frame was blocking the options. Raise that up a bit. Nothing. It's meant to throw us off.
Nah, I can see why you'd think that. But look at how crooked the letters are. Barely legible. You can't fake something like that. Someone's very nervous. Very scared. Definitely meant something to him. Then there's the blood, or lack thereof. And given that the murder was committed right here, and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that
the killer used a sedative.
then what? Pump the blood out without spilling a drop on people nearby? Nah, kid. Only one set of tools can do it. This quickly and this quietly. Smiles and taps himself on one of his fangs. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to?
Okay. I am in desperate need of a correct answer because I have got nothing right about anything at the moment. Let's see here. Killer was killed. Killer killed someone. Made a sign, the blood speaks.
Probably.
Maybe it's a Malkavian. Serial killer. Pretty nuts, right?
Nah, kid. The boonies can be a bit playful. But there's a method to their madness. It leaves certain aftertaste. This right here, it reeks of desperation. I'll be jumping to conclusions that my money's in the Finn bloods.
He pauses, spits out the mangled cigar.
Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit.
I have gotten nothing right with this guy. Larson, the Finnblood primogen.
No, Larson, the bicycle repairman. Of course, the Finnblood fucking primogen. Not sure if he knows who the killer is. They could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we'd be doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward situation. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other primogen would love to exploit. His position to counsel is as bad as it is.
He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself. It's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile.
Alright, kid, let's get this over with.
Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling place is quite a change of scenery. The heavily graffitied and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It seems almost like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for the things to come.
This is the place.
With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely in the dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. Probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire.
Okay, kid. We gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rang, milord gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, they'll shut down like a speakeasy on a raid night. Trust me, I know.
So, this Larson guy is a thin blood and he's hated by Camry for obvious reasons, and he has a family. I wonder how he's managed to stay alive. Okay, so what's the plan?
Tell you what, how about I let you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it.
Take a step back and look around the area. The lit up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Lars's attention. His and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you're suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you for a second to identify the sound of a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. An opportunity. You kneel down and pick a rock off the lawn. One small enough not to break the glass, but big enough to get someone's attention. Deftly you chuck the rock at the window. It bounces off with a quiet but audible thunk. Moments pass in silence, making you think no one got your message. Just as you start to look for another rock, you hear the window slide open. A very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck appears out the window. As soon as he notices you, his expression sours, like he just smelled something rotten. He addresses your Nosferatu partner in what could only be described as a very loud and very angry whisper. Get the fuck out of my lawn, D'Angelo! You know goddamn better than to show your ugly mug around here. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. We wouldn't have bothered you if this wasn't important. Liliana? Stay where you are. You wait out on the lawn, listening to Larson quietly making his way downstairs. Before long, he appears on the porch, locking the front door behind him. He motions at you to follow him to the side of the house. There, he turns towards you. What do you want?
About the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible.
Bullshit. A Duskborn's got enough troubles just staying alive out here. How could we possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade?
Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they think they are, they think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together.
Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching. Trying to find a scapegoat. Get in your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me.
What if it turns out one of yours did and you sat on your hands to protect them? You think the council won't jump on that?
He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of them is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is.
Deal.
Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. He decides it's best to move along. You walk a couple of blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, Nosferatu stops and turns towards you.
Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I could sure use a drink. Something warm in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. You didn't make a good first impression. Like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I had figured out on my own. But hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when a situation calls for subtlety, you manage to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine. Not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office.
He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back towards you.
And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one.
Jesus Christ, that was a lot more tense than I thought it would be. Okay, so it looks like I don't have to rest yet, so let's go meet up with Hope. When you get to the internet cafe, Hope is already waiting out front. The sight catches you off guard. A part of you suspect that she might be more of a shut-in. My haven is my castle type. Perfect timing. Mean to go for a ride. Get in. Doesn't wait for your response and jumps behind the wheel of a lavender vintage roadster instead. The engine starts roaring expectantly, causing everyone's heads to turn. Not wanting to attract needless attention, you quickly slip into the backseat of the car. The moment you shut the door behind you, the vehicle sets off, tires screeching. Sorry for not bringing you up to speed first, but hey, it is NYC. Everyone's always in a rush, and it is even more true when you're kindred. Now, allow me to take care of some business, and I'll be right with you. Even as she's zooming through traffic, she's still on her phone, of course. Nice car. How do you afford that? Thank you. Lavender really brings out its character, doesn't it? About affording things in the city. It's pretty hard. You gotta be the top of your game at all times. Might as well explain my business plan to you while I'm at it. So, another extremely online milk based in New York goes by the name of Dev or Null. Told me to Google Ethereum a few years ago. That's how I got into Bitcoin. I found a new religion. 23-year-olds selling visions of governments replaced by benign code and decentralized consensus. Mass is ruled by algorithms, just as the laws of physics. Idiot man-child investors trying to shape their realities through sheer fanatical zeal, and dedicated collectors of things as abstract as rare SHA-256 decryptions. Your driving style is far more aggressive and dangerous than you're comfortable with. Is it just you? Or does she peek into the rear-view mirror more often than she looks straight ahead? A hyper-speculative environment where nothing has real value, only abstract beliefs matter, and your life savings can be ruined by a single bullshit tweet. How could I refuse the allure? I started buying low, selling high, on a variety of shady 24/7 exchanges that allowed me with 100 times leverage, as in, they led me 100 times the capital I could bet with. I got lucky in the beginning, and the ball and kept ball rolling, shorting and longing, impulsively, recklessly. I got to the point where I became too big to fail, and that's when I cashed out. Car comes to an abrupt halt. You bump against the seat in front of you. Okay, this story will be continued later. We're here. We're at our first stop. I'll need you to do me a favor. Favor? What favor? Nothing too difficult. Literally, jump in, jump out kind of deal. See that weird guy in the Yankees cap standing around the corner? Approach him. Tell him you're at young, hot, petite, ingénue. Take the phone he gives you and bring it here. Get going, honey. It's illegal to park here. You jump out of the car and approach the man Hope has pointed out. Not a lot you can tell about him based on his appearance, aside from the fact he seems pretty shady. The guy assumes a comically threatening pose as you approach him. The hell do you want? I'm at young, hot, petite, ingénue. Oh, gotta admit, I had no idea what ingénue meant. But I had to make sure. I was about to Google it, you know. He takes his phone out of his pocket and covertly passes it to you. Everything has been prepared and preloaded according to your instructions. Should take about 2 minutes to transfer data. Now get out of here. Man walks away with an exaggerated hip-hop gait. You jump back into Hope's car. He immediately steps on the gas. You got a phone? You're the best. Pass it to me, please. He connects the 2 smartphones using cable and begins some sort of data transfer. Looks like it's an identical model. After a minute or so, the process is complete. He's transferring data between 2 phones while driving. How is this girl not crashed? Alright, goodbye, lovely. You served me well. Hope opens the car window, grabs her old phone. You're not expert enough to recognize the exact model, but it definitely looks like it had an $800 price slapped on it, and tosses it out the window. Surprised, you look behind and you see a car in the opposite lane run over the abandoned device. Hope notices your quizzical look. I've been needing a lot of burner phones lately. I'm not going to use some cheap piece of shit, so it's an pretty expensive necessity. Intersection, red light. He takes advantage of the moment to shoot a driving selfie that strategically excludes her face and upload it to Instagram. You notice her handle there. Very says a beauty. Now, I was telling you a story. Cashing out. Right. At some point towards the end of 2017, I became convinced I need to cash out. There's no way the bubble's gonna last forever. I always knew there would be no grapes of wrath for the cryptocurrency era. I would have to be a series of profoundly antisocial, disconnected events. The whole crypto culture was a decentralized church of lone millennials who rejected all established modern values and kept atoning for the original sin of not buying Bitcoin back in 2013. Another abrupt, last-second turn. You were pressed against the window. What the hell is with her driving style? Build a life you never wanted to live anyway, and get a chance to win a priceless pile of nothing. Untether yourself from all worldly desires. Find joy in suicidal ideation. To this day, money holds no real value for me. It's as abstract as a video game score. A bunch of numbers on the screen. This joyless world changed me forever. I knew I had to escape. So, I took my piles of fictional dollars to a new arena. Elite and New York City social circles. Not because I wanted to scam them and make more, but because I wanted to finally have some goddamn fun. I mean, of course, I had to scam them in the process, but it was only in service of becoming something other than a star. A constellation! Another abrupt stop, this time next to the entrance of a shifty-looking back alley. Alright, friend. This time, you're at leaky gut syndrome. Whistleblower extraordinaire. Whenever press sneak fuck wants a leak, you've got it. Got it? Sorry for putting you out there in my place, but I only personally contact people as a last resort. It gets harder to protect my identity with each time I show my face. And since I've got you, our man is waiting for you in his back alley. He's paying back a favor with a flash drive containing crucial information we need to stay safe in the city. Retrieve it. I'll circle the area. Make sure we aren't in danger right now. When you're done, get back here and I'll pick you up. Everything clear? Good. You exit the car and see it drive away in a hurry. Then head into the narrow passageway. Sure enough, there's a man waiting for you at the end of the back street, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, with a nervous eye tick. He looks even dodgier than the last guy you met. When you approach, he gives you a mean look. You lost or something? I'm at leaky gut syndrome. You said you've got a little something that might interest me.
Of course. Straight to the point, aren't you? Alright then.
Clumsily, he produces a USB stick from his front shirt pocket and holds it before your face. When you reach out to take it, he pulls his handbag and gives you a sly grin.
Getting all of his data was risky, you know. Miss Montgomery's an unusually secretive person. Digging up the dirt on her took more effort than I expected. Effort should be rewarded, I think. The more you ask around about her, the more you expect a letter saying, "Give up your inquiries. You're completely useless," at your doorstep. Perhaps attached to a severed cat head. You catch my drift? Secrecy surrounding her screams. Friends in high places. Brave New World Order Illuminati shit. You know, makes me think I deserve some hazard pay.
I ran a background check on you and you're not just some random schmuck off the street. No way you didn't know what you were walking into when you took this job. And if you really didn't, I doubt you're the kind of journalist who can gather intel worth shit. You're bluffing the hell out of him, unsure if it's going to work. It does. The man spits on the ground angrily, raises his hands in surrender.
Alright. I'll put you in the spot like that. My bad, okay?
He extends his hand holding the flash drive towards you again. You take it.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Not really sure what it's about. One of my informants claims you might be interested in this.
He reaches into his inner jacket pocket and presents you with something wholly unexpected. It's a bag of blood, labeled simply as ABRH negative. Take a closer look, if that doesn't answer any of the questions that just appeared in your mind. You peek into the journalist's cold blue eyes and see them twitch uncontrollably.
Don't ask me. They said you'll know what to do with it. Leaky gut. Come on, take it.
I feel like I need to feed. He's in the back alley, there's no one looking. I'll take whatever I want, twitchy eye. He's only conscious long enough to manage one step backwards. A second later, your fangs are already sunk deep into his neck. His blood has certain unpleasant je ne sais quoi quality to it, and a bitter aftertaste that's very strong and quickly intoxicating. As you finish your meal, you can feel consumed by euphoria. Having temporarily satisfied your hunger, you put the collapsed man against the wall and look him over one last time. Found him fishy and trusted your instincts. Might be harder to explain this to Hope, but you don't feel like you've done anything wrong. Every fiber of your vampiric existence screamed that the journalist was absolutely not to be trusted. Funny. Even though you found the man disgusting, he provided you with proper, pleasant sustenance. The victim having blue eyes feels important somehow. The blood bag your victim was carrying fell on the ground during your assault. Casually pick it up and leave the alleyway you came. Hope's car appears behind the corner just as you walk onto the street. It doesn't even fully stop when you approach. It slows down just enough that you can jump in. The moment you close the door, she leans on the gas pedal with full strength, causing the entire engine to roar. Her driving style definitely doesn't reflect how laid back she seems in person. We got it? You throw the flash drive into the seat next to her. Perfect. Any problems? How'd the meeting go? You relate the entire background encounter to her. Toward the end of the story, you notice she's not staring at the road on her or her phone, but directly at your face. The realization startles you. You got the bag of blood with you? Place in the seat next to her. She peeks at the label. She looks at it again. Then she steps on the brakes. Fuck! I'm okay. He grabs both the bag and the flash drive you've obtained and throws them out the window. Looks like that's her favorite method of taking care of problems. That bag was a message. AB negative used to be my blood type. It's the rarest one, found less than 1% of the United States population. Glad you didn't drink it. Who knows what they've done to the bag. Some NYC vets can tell you wild stories about using irradiated blood to locate and kill other kindred. You admit you did feed on the man who gave you the bag instead. Good for you, I suppose. I don't think they've done anything to his blood. That'll be some kind of 5-dimensional chess move. But yeah, this contact is compromised and needs to be cut off. Goodbye, my journalist frenemy, and goodbye, dear at leaky gut syndrome. You both have outlived your usefulness. A brief moment of hesitation. He deletes the whistleblower extraordinaire account and sighs. Another one bites the dust. We've got another story to finish. A story about Bitcoin, and then where did I stop? Becoming a constellation. Alright. You know who saw the real face of the city? Anna Delvey. Ever heard of her? A Russian working class girl, born as Anna Sorokin. She moved to New York in 2013 and convinced everyone that she was an insanely rich trust fund kid. A wealthy German heiress. Manhattan elites totally fell for it, and they bought it for years while she swindled them. She only got arrested in 2017, having stolen almost $300,000. Sorkin created Delvey persona out of thin air, convinced everyone that she was going to set up an art fund, and kept tasting all of life's finest pleasures while being basically broke. Even made up a fake family financial advisor, then killed him off when he became a liability. And apparently, most of her rich victims never admitted to being scammed out of shame. By now, you're sure, the way she scrutinizes her surroundings, her reckless driving, she's trying to escape somebody. Now Delvey's locked up with murderers in Rikers, writing her memoirs, apparently picking a lot of fights. Bless her heart, she'll forever be an inspiration. But I have more advantages than she ever did. I have my own considerable funds, and I can rely on many more made-up people than just some old-ass financial advisor. A whole bunch of fake content creators and influencers that every rich dumbass wants to get in touch with and collaborate. Makes it super easy to earn money, more money than I invest. You've seen it firsthand, both as a deceiver and the deceived. It's a city of illusions. Make non-existent money, come up with financial status, play nonsensical Camarilla games, and one day, you might just find yourself at the top. Alright, we're reaching our last stop. Look around, you're coming up on a parking garage. You're gonna take an elevator to the 70th floor, give the masked man you meet in front of the door this memory card. It contains a false movie I've made. By a Faust, you mean vampire movie? Yes, a movie you've seen me rehearse in my haven. You didn't think I was doing that just for show, did you? I found some filthy rich Manhattan pervs who'll pay a fortune for a convincing vampire cam show. I don't need money, but their IT industry connections gave me an idea. When we give him this memory card, we'll gain access to tech that should allow us to take on my biggest enemy in the city. So, your nickname this time is going to be a Crash. You are momentarily dazed and can't immediately understand what happened. The first thing you know for sure is, if you were still a normal human being, you'd be dead for sure. You replay the last few seconds in your head. The other car appeared out of nowhere and crashed into Ho's vehicle at maximum speed. He was able to achieve this at close off space. The driver has already managed to kick open the mangled door next to him and stumble out of his seat. Now, he wordlessly approaches the trunk and takes a large caliber silenced pistol out of it. He stares, approaching the lavender wreck of Hope's car, obviously ready to finish the job he started. You have to be fast and violent. It's you or him now. Your instincts take over. You don't come up with a strategy or optimal route. You simply start running towards the gunman, yelling. For a split second, he's completely dumbfounded. Then he opens fire. The bullet puts a brief stop to your sprint. You're engulfed in pain, your flesh and clothes shredded to bits. When his magazine runs out, you're still standing, determined to move forward. He tries to act as quickly as possible, but he can't reload his weapon before you get to him. A tackle, a primal scream, left punch, right punch, left punch, right punch. You turn this cruelty tenfold to his face. When you're done, his head is barely recognizable as human. You stand above the gunman's body, trying to calm yourself and your killer instincts. Then you hear her voice. Hope slivers out of her car and sees you standing over the assailant. Huh, you did pretty good. He approaches the body of the driver you killed and kicks it so she can take a better look. Upon seeing the front of the corpse, she lets out an annoyed grunt. Knew it had to be this asshole. It would be this asshole. He's been following us all day, and I know just who he belongs to. Even before she's done talking, she's already trying to reach someone through a video call. Eventually she succeeds. You see a nonchalant woman in a business casual on her smartphone screen. Kara Montgomery, how may I help you? Kara. Oh, didn't expect you to ever reach me through this channel. Have you thought things through? Wait, did something happen? Did something happen? Your fucking ghoul just tried to kill me, you crazy bitch. Now that's what fucking happened. Calm yourself, for Christ's sake. This is a baseless accusation. I know he's from Double Spiral. He's been working at your motherfucking company. Come on. You know I can't be held responsible for the independent actions of my subordinates. Why don't we just meet up and talk it over? Hope disconnects the call and instantly blocks Kara from contacting her. You corporate shithead. You're making sick. Tired, turns her gaze to a dead ghoul. I'll dispose of him and put him in my car. 30 seconds later, his body's laying in the backseat of lavender-colored wreck. Okay, good. Take a look at the scene of the carnage in front of you. Every second we're here gets us closer to a serious Masquerade violation. I have to change my pomade to... I can't read that. Masterpiece for the good some other time. He gets behind the wheel, and you follow her inside the car. Meet me in New Haven when I tell you it's safe. For now, I need to dump this asshole somewhere, get my car fixed, and plan our counterattack. You guide Hope to your own haven. She drops you off, and before she leaves, she makes what's about to come perfectly clear. If we want to survive in the city, Kara Montgomery needs to die. He disappears into traffic, and you disappear into your place. I'm assuming, yep, definitely no more time. Rest. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me on another Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York stream. See you next time for when I have another time to do another one of these. Starting to get real interesting.